Hello and welcome back. Today on the bench we have a Colt Gold Cup National match that has been completely detail stripped. And the reason I'm doing this video today is this Gold Cup National match has a piece in it, or actually two parts in it, that make it very difficult to reassemble once you've detail stripped it. Now what it has is a Sear Depressor, and that's this little piece right here. And you can see this little Sear Depressor has two tabs on it. One goes to a spring, this one right here, and then this one engages the trigger bow when the trigger is squeezed. Now the reason this part is in here is to reduce trigger bounce, and the way I understand it is the recoil of these without this part in there can make the pistol go to an uncontrollable automatic if the trigger continues to hit the sear on the recoil. So there you go. I hope I explained that well enough. But anyway, this can be a real pain to put back together. You can see that right there. And then we have also here in the sear, probably not going to be able to see it on camera, but this side has been milled down a little bit thinner than this side to take the width of that Sear depressor, and then we have a small spring, and I'm going to go ahead and pull this spring out so you can see how incredibly tiny this is. And you can see right there this very small spring. Now we'll go ahead and take and show you how I like to try to put this assembly together. If anybody knows how to do this a little easier, please leave it in the comment section down below. Alright, give me just a second, I'll be right back and we'll start this procedure. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started on putting this little assembly together. Now, like I've mentioned, we have this incredibly small spring in there, and if you're trying to put this assembly together and it slips, you can lose that spring, and unfortunately that spring's I think about $5 from Midway USA. Now I have the Remington grease, multi-purpose grease here for putting pistols or working on firearms. Now I like to use just a very small amount of that grease on that hole that the spring goes in, to help retain that spring if something slips while I'm putting this together, so that spring doesn't go flying. These springs I think are $5 from Midway USA, and probably by the time you get shipping involved they're going to be a little bit more than that. So there you go, we have the spring together here. Now we're going to go ahead and grab our little Sear Depressor here and start to assemble this. Now the trick to this is you've got to wrap this piece of metal around the leg without crushing your spring out of shape, which is virtually impossible to show you on camera without getting my fat fingers in the way. And here we'll hopefully get this down there. Oh, look at that, I got it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and take and use a toothpick to help retain that. And I've made a slave pin from this long cotton swab. I've got a 6-inch cotton swab here. The wood in that is almost the exact same diameter as our sear pin. So now we'll go ahead, we have our toothpick holding this in. Now we'll take and grab our disconnector. Now the disconnector will help hold that Sear Depressor in while I slide my toothpick over, being very careful not to let that thing go up too far. Now I've got it all in and together and captured. Now I've got to remove this and put my slave pin in, and I just blew it because I pushed my toothpick out too fast. Hold on just a second. Okay, let's try that again now. We'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit so maybe you can see this assembly a little bit better. Hopefully I'll keep this all in frame while I'm trying to do this. So here we have the assembly. I'm going to use my little slave pin, and look at that. Okay, finally got that in there. Okay, so now the Sear disconnector and Sear Depressor and spring assembly, all 4 pieces are being held together now. So now I'll go ahead and grab my frame. We'll zoom back out just slightly here so you can see this. We'll drop our trigger in and get that in there. Now we'll go ahead and take our assembly and put it in, and we'll go ahead and try to line it up here so we get that pin completely in place. Okay, we can see the slave in there. I doubt you'll be able to see it through this, but we'll go ahead and we'll start to push the slave out. You know what, I'm going to do this just slightly different. We'll push it out with a toothpick first. Once I get it realigned. And I've had people comment that they don't want to do a detail strip of their pistol because it looks so difficult. Well, the detail strip is actually pretty easy once you get the proper technique down, the right way to assemble it back together. Now, one of the things I found with putting these together is if you rotate your sear pin, it'll help a lot in capturing. Oops, I had it and then I pushed it back out. There we go. Okay, it's back together. What a royal pain in the you know what. So there you go. This is assembled and back together. The final test will be to make sure when we put it back together that everything functions, but it's all in there correctly. The spring's captured and the Sear Depressor is on there. So anybody that's ever taken one of these apart and struggled with it, that's how it goes back together. Alright, thanks for tuning in and watching. Hope you enjoyed this short video, and have a great day.